Hey everybody, welcome back to another Tar Heel 24/7 podcast here on the 24/7 Sports CBS Sports Network. I am Tar Heel 24/7 publisher Andrew Jones, flying solo with you here to talk about the Tar Heels offensive line. Before I get into it, quick reminder, 75% off. We launched midnight last Thursday, 12:01 a.m. Friday morning. We're still carrying that 75% launch rate. If you are part of where we were before and you want to be a part of where we are now, 75% off. Phenomenal deal. If you have not signed up before, come on, guys, 75% off. And part of what I'm going to talk about in this drop will give you a reason to get on our message boards. And you have to pay to get on the message board, 75% off. It's a great deal. It's an unbelievable deal. And the topic is offensive line. And I want to get into some things that we've been discussing on our message boards after I posted a projected depth chart, which honestly, total honesty here, guys, it's not a guess, but it's just a very loose projection because I don't really know. They have 9 offensive linemen who have started a lot in the past. 8 started a ton last year, basically returning starters. A lot of older, experienced guys. And my understanding is that this staff is okay with the idea of possibly doing some rotating. Now, I put that in the piece, and some people kind of push back against it, saying you don't rotate the offensive line. It's not like cornerbacks. And I said, yes, I know that. You don't rotate offensive line like you do linebackers, running backs, wide receivers, that kind of thing. There's no hockey line shift thing there. I get that. I've been doing this a long time, and I understand that. In fact, I've covered some coaches who were very pro offensive line oriented, and they actually did play depth. Tom O'Brien at NC State, for example, very known for having great offensive linemen, developing linemen. He used to play 7, 8 guys at NC State on a regular basis when I covered the Wolfpack a lot back in the day. So recently, that hasn't been the case too much at North Carolina. And I think ideally, you have your 5, your core, and they play pretty much every meaningful snap. But coaches getting a guy in here and there, sometimes they do it to give someone some reps that they're going to need later because it's a older offensive line, older starting group. You got to get some dudes ready behind them. But there's also the thought that you could play a guy a series or two to rest a starter, so you're a little bit fresher in the fourth quarter, especially if you're run power heavy at times, and certainly want to be in the fourth quarter because it usually means you're ahead. And number 2, you want to run a lot of plays. You want to have the ball more than the opponent. You're going to run a lot of snaps. Gives you a little bit of an edge. So I get the pushback about the offensive line thing. I get it. But I've talked to a ton of offensive line coaches before, and when they say 8 deep, 9 deep, they don't just mean in case there's injuries. Some do, but not all do. And it depends on who the 7th guy, 6th guy, 7th guy, 8th guy, whatever. Depends on who they are. In this case, there's a lot of experience on that line. There's a ton of experience on that line. And I think there might be some jockeying that continues after the TCU game starts. I'm not 100% sold that it's going to be settled when they take the field against TCU. So you're going to have some guys getting some reps so the staff can figure stuff out. Because remember, Bill Belichick doesn't have preseason games now like he had in the NFL, where you could learn a few things. Don't have that. They're going to get live bullets as much as they can this month in August, but there's only so much you can do. So with that, I'm not going to project the starting offensive line right here. That's on our board. You can go over there and check that out at tarheel247.com, and you get 75% off right now. But it's the depth. So I'm going to throw names out there, and you tell me who of these 9 names you don't think will get on the field. You can respond here on YouTube. Comments are open. You can text it to us or tweet it to us. Or if you're on our site, Tar Heel 24/7, you can go ahead and post it. We can continue this conversation. I think it's a great, healthy conversation. And quite frankly, it's a conversation that hasn't been possible about North Carolina for a while. North Carolina has not had this many experienced offensive linemen for as long as I can remember, because these guys came from other places and started. Some of them didn't start at power conference programs, but that doesn't matter. They still have a ton of reps. Someone like Will Osteen from Jacksonville State. A lot of people love him. He's good. I mean, everything I'm gathering is this guy's going to start. He's good enough to start, but maybe he's not because there's Trevion Green there. What about Aiden Banfield? Started last year as a true freshman. He was with the first team when we were watching a little bit last Saturday. We only got a very small period of time. I didn't get much time at all to watch the offensive line. I got a couple of videos of them doing some drills, but there's so little you can glean from that, which is why I open this up under the guise of uncertainty. Ja'Kai Moore from South Carolina. I didn't have him starting. A lot of people think he's going to start. Started a bunch of games at South Carolina. Will he start here? I don't know. And I think that's what makes it fun. William Boone, Prairie View. Big guy. I mean, he the old all-airport team that Dick Vitale used to have back in college basketball days when he was doing a ton of games in the 90s and early 2000s. And I think he started the all-airport team thing in the 80s. William Boone is an all-airport guy. And he played a ton of snaps at Prairie View. They did play Michigan State last year, and he graded out pretty well. Is he a starter? Is he a guy that comes over and you know what? He's just not ready for this level, and he ends up being one of these 9 that falls back and doesn't get on the field? What about Chad Lindbergh? Started out at Georgia like Austin Blasky, transferred to Rice, played a ton at Rice. Is he an odd man out? It's not Blasky. Austin Blasky is going to play. Christo Kelly, transfer from Holy Cross, he's going to play. We know Trevion Green's going to play. No doubt about it. It's going to be, I do not envision a scenario in which Daniel Green, the transfer from Troy, doesn't play. Aiden Banfield, I don't see a scenario in which he doesn't play. He's not a factor. Same with Will Osteen. So that brings us to Ja'Kai Moore, Chad Lindbergh, William Boone. I have a lot of faith in the fact that Moore played a lot at times at South Carolina. And honestly, I respect a lot of people on our boards, and they're very high on him. So I will probably keep him in the rotation, in that group. Called a rotation, it's a group. So that leaves maybe Chad Lindbergh and William Boone. Or maybe all 9 are good enough. That's the thing. To have this much experience, to have 9 dudes that have been through the war, and they've seen it all. They've dealt with every scenario on the offensive line is such a big thing. Because if nothing else, it's the competition. I think it was in the spring or maybe it was June when we talked to Bill Belichick, when he kind of went over the offensive line a little bit. He was asked about the depth there with the older guys that have come in. And he said, look, he didn't say iron sharpens iron, but iron does sharpen iron, but certainly pushing strengthens. If you have a job that's solidified and no one's challenging you for it, that doesn't mean you're a guy that's not going to work hard to maintain it. But if you've got 2 dudes pushing for it and they're pretty good and they're experienced and they've been around the block and they don't get flustered and they're good teammates and they can, since they're older, maybe they can develop chemistry quicker with whoever's on their left, whoever's on their right, depending on where they are on the line, you're going to grind harder. You're going to keep a motor going at a certain pace during fall camp. And that's what's going on right now. That's what I think is really cool. The competition, I think I said in the video with Jacob the other day, I'm not sure, but I would love to be a drone, actually get on a drone, a little thing. I like to shrink myself down to about this big, get on a drone, fly over the practice field, and just watch the offensive line. Look at who plays with whom, who's cross-training where. Trevion Green, right tackle, now he's left tackle. Will Osteen over at right tackle, that kind of thing. I want to see all that stuff because I think this is the most interesting position group on the roster. And the battles are going to continue, I believe, once the TCU game starts. Let us know what you guys think. And don't forget, 75% off. Come on over, Tar Heel 24/7. We are part of the 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports Network. Come on over and get loaded up with a ton of content about your Tar Heels. I'm AJ, and I appreciate you stopping by.